is September 2nd, 2021, Thursday. This is the meeting of the Finance Committee. I am Francis Corcoran, the chair, and I would like to call the meeting to order. If we could, Mr. Secretary, if we could have a roll call.
Sure. Mr. Marquis?
Here.
Mr. Krasansky?
Here.
Mr. Corcoran?
Present.
And Mr. Zarofsky is absent. We do have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. So today's first item is the approval of the draft minutes from June 24th, 2021 of the Finance Committee meeting. I hope everyone has had a chance to review it. I would like to get a motion for their approval.
Chairman, I will make a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Great. Is there any discussion or comment? Okay, there being none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The draft minutes are approved. Up next, we have a presentation and discussion, after which we will take a committee vote on the state revolving funds debt authorization request, the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Bonds, Series 2021B. Formal resolution on our agenda will be ID number 1, and it's to be presented to the board today by Audra, if she is all ready and able, and as always, well equipped. So with that, Audra, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay, and I'm joined by George to my left. Who's gonna come
Oh,
this way
great.
so
I didn't
you
know
can
if George
see
is
him.
going to be there. That's great.
There he is.
George is presenting as well. Thank you, George.
Okay, we're here for EFC's 2021B bond deal coming up here towards the end of the year. It is this year's pooled financing for a lot of our projects in the 2010 MFI, put them together, go to the bond market. Right now, we're looking at estimated proceeds of $197 million. Two pieces to this bond deal again this year. New money piece, about $105 million. And then we are also able to go and refund Series 2011C to get some savings for our recipients that were part of that bond deal 10 years ago. We will issue as senior bonds under the 2010 MFI. We have both clean and drinking water recipients. 32 of those recipients are participating in the new money portion, and 51 are participating in the refunding portion. So we're scooping in a lot of different recipients. 50% subsidized clean water, as always, 33 1/3 on the drinking water. We also have several market rate financings as part of this. On the new money piece, only 4 of the drinking water projects are actually subsidized. The rest are market rate. We have some small financings included and a few relatively large ones. We've got about $39 million for Westchester County, $24 million for Onondaga. We expect to market these bonds as green bonds, as we have done the past several years. And under current rates for the refunding piece, we're expecting to get approximately $24 million in savings. The rate on the original deal was up around 3.5%. So significant savings to our communities, which is always a good thing. The municipal bond market has been functioning well. We're monitoring any adverse developments from current events or COVID, but we do expect to be able to price and close as we have been, with hopefully relatively few hiccups. The deal team right now is financial advisor Hilltop Securities, bond counsel Nixon, and we are working on our underwriter selection. So that's the background of the finance piece, and now George will talk a little bit about next steps.
Thanks, Audra. Good morning. We just thought we'd talk about next steps in the pool process. You know, in preparation for a proposed December 9, 2021 closing, we're currently in the process of vetting our recipients, both the new money and the refunding recipients, as well as our disclosure and our closing documents, of course. With respect to the 2011C refunding recipients, Audra said there was 51 of them. We're distributing For execution, our closing certificate and supplemental agreements, they're actually going out next week, if all goes well, which each of our refunding recipients must execute to participate in the leveraged financing. The recipients in this document acknowledge, that EFC is issuing new corporation bonds and passing on debt service savings realized by this new issuance. The recipients will also reaffirm their representations and various tax covenants made in the previous financing back in 2011. We're also working with bond counsel currently to finalize our project finance agreements that will go to each of the new money recipients for execution in the near future. In addition to the many closing documents and other documents, we're collectively working on between legal and finance and operations to finalize our annual information statement that is required for us to post the preliminary official statement and the final official statement. As most of you know, the AAS is incorporated by reference into each of our offering documents, and therefore it's an integral part of the disclosure. So the AAS will need to be presented to and approved by the board prior to posting our preliminary official statement in November. And lastly, looking forward to the closing, depending on the situation with COVID, EFC is prepared to finalize and close the transaction virtually. We've done it for the past, since COVID started. It's worked very effectively. The team is, prepared and ready to do whatever is necessary to get that done. And that's, any questions?
Any questions from the committee members?
I have just a question. Audra mentioned the green bond designation.
Yes.
Can you quantify that at all? Do you tell me what again, we've done this.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if either the overall market or if you guys have been able to sort of quantify the benefits.
Not yet. It's something that, we talk about it a lot with our underwriters and our consultants. And I think the general sense is that the market is starting to change to the point where there may be a quantifiable benefit, but not quite yet. You are seeing a lot of the investors and the funds to much greater degree having funds where they have to buy, something designated as green or sustainable. So it does very much feel like it's moving much more in that direction. Right now, when we talk about it with the underwriters, it's not quite there to quantifiable, but I do feel like in the next few years we are going to see a quantifiable
benefit.
Yeah,
Great.
I think so.
Excellent. And just a totally different question. I just see on the not rated.
Yes.
And it's interesting sort of how they're listed. And of course, a lot of them are very small.
Right.
But they're also listed Moody's, S&P, Fitch.
Yes.
Tell me the primary reasons for not rated. Declined, or they didn't ask for a rating.
It could be that they didn't ask for a rating. I think that's probably very common, and you see like Moody's is the smallest number of not rated because they may be a little bit bigger or more known, so some of the smaller communities may only get one rating on things that they do. Or for the rating services themselves, when they look across the portfolio, they may be only rating the larger municipalities.
Right.
So I think it's both rating service choice and who they would go to. And it's a municipality. Like we go for our bond deals to get 3 ratings. Some people don't get 3 ratings. They might get 1.
Right.
So I think that's what you're seeing there.
Okay, good. Thank you. Great.
Audra, George, thank you very much. Any other questions from any committee members?
I just always like to ask, was there anything that occurred this year during the process that was different from the year before or the surprised you or that presented a different challenge than you've had in general?
I think from the finance side, and I'll let George talk about I mean, we, George spoke a lot about the virtual, and we kind of, think will be the third or the fourth deal that we may look to do this virtually. So I feel like we've been through it. We've been through a refunding before. We're grabbing the savings, and the new money piece, we're getting them ready so they can cross the finish line, and making sure everything's kind of tied out. So no, I don't feel like there was any major difference this year in the deal. And I don't know on the legal side.
I think that's true. I think we've gotten better at doing the virtual closing, and each bond counsel is different, and they have set up virtual closing rooms, and we priced it virtually. We closed it virtually. We were able to, and they've modified these closing rooms so that you're able to do more. Insert documents, review documents, approve documents, all in. Instead of having 20 people around a closing table down in New York City, I think we've gotten more efficient at closing these transactions without losing accuracy or any of the other safeguards that we need.
Great. That's what I would expect.
That's great. So, there being no other questions or discussion, Audra and George, thank you very much as usual. So there being no other discussion, all in favor of the approval of this and then the recommendation to the full board?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So it carries. This item will be put on the agenda for vote by the full board as item ID number 1 on our full board agenda when we meet today. If there is no other items of business before us, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll start. Call to order of the Thursday, September 2nd board meeting of the Environmental Facilities Corporation. Thomas, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Chairperson Stefanko,
Here.
Mr. Sokol. Here. Mr. Leary.
Present.
Mr. Corcoran.
Present.
Ms. DeMarquis.
This meeting is being recorded.
Present.
Mr. Krasinski.
Here.
And Mrs. Zarofsky.
He said here.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, yeah, I'm present. Tricky mute, but.
Yeah. All right, so we'll start with approval of the draft minutes from the August 5th board meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
I can make that motion.
Thank you, Roger.
Second.
Second, great. Thank you, I think, Francis. Any discussion? Great. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, I think that was unanimous.
I abstained, I wasn't there.
Oh, yes, you were not here, Charlie, so we have one abstention. Okay, report of the chair. I have nothing to report. Nice to see everybody again as we head into holiday weekend. Hope everyone has an enjoyable one. Hope anyone downstate is staying safe as well. Joe, do you have a presence report?
I do. Thank you, Jeff. Boy, we are monitoring, obviously, the incredible flooding experienced last night, and we stand ready to help any of our local partners as quickly and as efficiently we can. First, on behalf of the team here at EFC, and I trust the board, I hope the board doesn't mind me speaking for them, I want to acknowledge Governor Kathy Hochul taking the reins of New York State government. We, as a state and EFC, are fortunate to have a governor with experience and understanding that local government is where the rubber meets the road. And she also understands and has led on the importance of water infrastructure investments for safer, healthier communities. Our team here at EFC is committed to Governor Hochul's vision and her leadership. Further, yesterday's announcement of the new Director of State Operations is more welcome news for us here at EFC. Catherine Garcia is an accomplished public administrator and a leader in government. Her experience includes having served in several roles at New York City DEP, including as COO, where she was responsible for the operation of the city's water supply, water sewer systems, and wastewater treatment plants. The team at EFC is looking forward to working together to, in Catherine's words, getting things done. Both good things and good changes moving forward here in New York State. Finally, I'd like to report out on something Secretary Rosado strongly encouraged us to focus on at my first meeting when you all appointed me. As you know, we've been working to bolster our staff and skill sets to the appropriate levels to effectively carry out our responsibilities. By doing so, we made a commitment to diversity, not just in words, but in actions. On January 14th, we had 84 full-time staff members, of which 3 self-identified as diverse employees. Since then, and even with significant retirements and some separations, we are now at 89 full-time members, 10% of which self-identify as diverse. 3.6% to 10% of our staff in 7 months. We made a commitment, and that commitment will be part of our corporate culture going forward. A diverse staff makes us stronger, makes us more effective, and I'm proud of the team, and I thank Secretary Rosado for her guidance and counsel. That's it, Mr. Chair, for my report today.
Great. Thank you. Well said. We did have a committee. Finance Committee met earlier at 11. Chair Corcoran, do you have anything to add on the Finance Committee?
I do, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met in quorum this morning. We approved our minutes from our June 24th meeting, as well as got a presentation from Audra and George on the state revolving funds, the Series 2021B, which we approved in our committee meeting for recommendation for approval by the full board today, as it's seen on our agenda as item number 1.
Great. Thank you, Francis.
You're welcome.
Unless anyone has anything to add on unfinished business, we can move directly to resolutions. Great. Thomas, ID number 1, please.
ID number 1, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation authorizing the issuance of up to $255 million New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation State Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Funds Revenue Bonds, or alternatively authorizing low-term direct financings.
As Chair Corcoran mentioned, this is associated with the Finance Committee meeting that he discussed. Could I have a motion, please?
I can make that motion.
Thank you, Roger.
I'll second.
Thank you, James. Audra will be presenting.
Okay, thank you. This is for our 2021B bond deal. This is our pooled series, and we have 37 projects that are financing as new money, so moving from short-term to long-term or direct to long-term. And then we're also doing a second piece, which is the refunding of our 2011C bond deal, and that includes 64 projects for 51 recipients. The aggregate principal amount is not to exceed $255 million. We are asking for authorization to move forward financings of various sizes, some small, some relatively large. A large one for Westchester County of roughly $39 million, Onondaga County of $24 million. We do expect to market the bonds as green bonds, as we have done over the past several years for our leveraged pool financings. Under current rates for the refunding piece, we're expecting approximately $24 million in savings, depending on market conditions, taking a rate that was originally about 3.59% down to the low 2%. Our schedule is looking to price this deal in November and close in December before year end.
Great, thank you, Audra. Discussion. Okay. Since there's nothing to discuss, we'll move to vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sounds unanimous. ID number 2.
All right, ID number 2, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation selecting a software services vendor and authorizing the president of the corporation or designee to enter into a contract for software services to the corporation.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
So moved.
James and Francis. Yep, I think we got you. Thank you. Heather will be presenting.
Good morning. Today, the corporation is interested in acquiring the Tableau software platform. Tableau's interactive, data-driven dashboards will allow EFC to share information, reports, and visualizations, and allow staff to better collaborate across divisions. In addition, the software is going to help us provide more transparency to the public and to the board as complex data can be brought into the system and exported into charts and graphs that are easy for people to understand. The Tableau software is widely used within New York State government, and EFC's dashboards will be hosted by ITS at no cost to the corporation. The software was available through OGS centralized contracts through 2 authorized resellers. In order to assess the reasonableness of price, EFC also obtained a quote from Tableau directly, even though they are not on state contract. EFC issued a request for quotation on June 28th of this year through the OGS umbrella contract to seek bids from vendors interested in providing the Tableau services and training. There are 2 vendors authorized to resell the software, Insight Public Sector, Inc. and SHI International Corporation. Only Insight Public Sector, Inc. responded to the RFQ. EFC reviewed the proposal submitted and selected Insight Public Sector based on the reasonableness of price versus the price provided by Tableau software. And with board approval, EFC intends to enter into a 1-year contract that will be renewed annually at EFC's discretion and can be terminated at any time for any reason.
Thank you, Heather. Discussion.
Great.
Do we have a reason we're not disclosing the cost?
Oh, no, the cost is $26,230.40, which is approximately $700 less than the software amount offered by Tableau directly.
You said 26,000?
Yes.
And how long is it going to take to, what's the integration time period on this?
They've already been playing inside of it for free for about a month to see how it would integrate with our systems. We also have an expert on staff already who is extremely well versed in the use of Tableau, so the learning curve is going to be short. We have training set up and for about 40 people who will get the training, so we're ready to go.
And you said that the contract term is that you can actually be released from that contract at any time. There's not a term on it?
It's a 1-year term in which we will go each year to renew it if we want to. Yeah, we've put that language in.
No, but I think she was asking about termination rights. Are you locked in for the year?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
thought I heard the same thing at the end. Could you terminate any time?
Yes, we're locked in for a year.
Okay, but you can terminate at the end of that year without any obligation to
Correct. Correct.
I'm wondering, if is this public facing or just internal?
It's internal, and then we can put the dashboards public-facing as we choose to.
And then, so that's a total price, so you're not, like Tableau, usually you sort of pay for each user, you're avoiding that.
No, we're paying for 30 users plus 10 creators who will be in there building the dashboards, and then all of the other people internally can use them. We'll be able to post certain things on our website. We'll be able to make nicer graphics for board meetings that will take a lot of complex data and numbers and turn them into pictures that people can actually understand.
And then from a cybersecurity, I'm sorry if I interrupted someone, from a cybersecurity matter that has been looked at as well
Yes,
for integration and
correct, and it's going to be managed through ITS.
I'm not sure that's as comforting an answer as you might think, but okay.
So, I guess I'm wondering, I know that the state uses Tableau a lot, and I guess I'm wondering, so you guys are sort of getting around dealing with Tableau directly, and you're dealing with another company?
Tableau is not on centralized contract directly. It's only offered available through the centralized resellers contract on the umbrella that is managed by OGS.
So this is less expensive than just going to Tableau, you think?
$700 less.
$700.
Correct.
And I'm assuming and you get more support?
I'm sorry?
Like you get more support through the reseller?
You get the same amount of support. ITS has its own internal system, Tableau group. So we get support from them. We've also negotiated training in with the purchase.
Sounds great. Anything further? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think that was unanimous. ID number 3. Thank you, Heather.
Right, ID number 3. A resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending the prior authorization for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
I have a motion, please.
I'll make the motion for ID number 3.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second.
Okay, I think we
There
got
we
a
go.
couple there, Roger and, I couldn't see who else. Audra will be presenting.
All right, we have one financing under this ID. It is a drinking water financing for the city of Dunkirk there in Chautauqua County. And the action we are looking to take here is to extend the maturity date out from November of this year to the end of the year next year. It is a $9 million financing, $6 million in subsidized financing, and $3 million in WIA grant. The city needs time to not only finish the construction, however, since this is also a subsidized financing, we want to time this up so that it can go long-term in our next leverage deal, most likely our leverage pool deal next year. So that's the reason for the extension. They are actively working, though. A good part of the project is done, as we've currently dispersed just over 7 out of the 9 million. So they are working and they're making progress.
Right.
Thank you. Questions for Audra?
Yeah. Sorry, just the one question, which is, when I was on the second floor, Dunkirk held a special place in our heart because it was where we were closing the last coal plant. And I remember there was some discussion about financial strain for the city because they were losing the property revenue. It wasn't being repowered. Is that something that's been in part? I mean, that time may have passed, but is that something you're talking about? A subsidized financing here. How are the finances of this city?
I think that they have been an on-time payer for us, and I'm not aware of anything that would give us pause for
Okay.
that. But, I think it certainly helps that the city, as of a lot of our borrowers, there's the $3 million grant, and then the rest of it, half of it, will be at a 0% interest. So,
Yeah, no, I know. I just remember there was some conversation. They were supposed to be repowering the plant, and the governor at the time obviously went up there. It was a Christmas miracle and all the rest, and then that rug got pulled out, and there was some panic that the city might be facing some serious financial straits. So.
Okay, anything further? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous? ID number 4.
ID number 4, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation amending the prior authorization for financial assistance to be provided by the corporation to certain recipients in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie. We have a second?
I can second that.
Roger, thank you. Audra for the third time.
Okay. 2 projects under the same ID number as part of one PFA, both for the town of Oneonta in Otsego County. The action we are looking for again here is an extension of the maturity date from next month out to October of next year. These are also drinking water projects. It's for the creation of a whole new water system and the involved water district formation. And then additionally, they have been developing a new groundwater well source. There have been a few delays in this project, as I think we've all learned through our projects, when they're doing district formation and trying to find a new source, it takes usually a little bit longer than everyone initially planned. And additionally, the groundwater well aquifer testing plan in this area needed to be approved by the Susquehanna River Basin Commission. That was recently approved, but it's my understanding that took a little bit of time as well. So based on the project meeting updates that the team has been receiving, the project is actively in construction, and we are very actively dispersing on this also. This year it's ramped up to pretty much monthly. They're coming in for those disbursements. So total across the 2 projects, we've dispersed $6.2 million out of the $7.7 million that's encumbered.
Great. Questions for Audra? Excellent. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous? ID number 5.
ID number 5, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible drinking water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
Thomas? Can I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion for ID number 5.
Thank you, Vita.
I'll second.
Thank you, James. David, will be presenting.
Okay, thank you. So we have 3 drinking water projects with this ID today. The first one is the Village of Cattaraugus, and this is a long-term financing. This project includes water meter replacements, source upgrades to increase the system capacity to meet their existing demands, and replacement of a 100-plus-year-old transmission main, roughly 22,000 linear feet, which will carry water from the source into the distribution system. And it also includes some telemetry and chlorination upgrades. Okay, next project. The next project is for the town of Hume in Allegheny County. This is a hardship project and is receiving short-term interest-free financing as well as a DWSRF grant. This project will extend water from the town of Hume Consolidated Water District to serve an area which is known as the Hume Sanford Springs system, which is a small privately owned system. That Sanford Springs system currently has an unfiltered spring source, which is designated as under the influence of surface water and is therefore currently in violation of the surface water treatment rule. So that small private system will be dissolved, and the users on that system will be served directly from the town system. The project also includes replacement of some aged water mains, some other extensions within the town to serve some other residential areas that will serve some other homeowners that are currently on private wells with poor water quality. Next, please. All right, the last one is the town of Lewisboro, Westchester County. This is a 2019 WIA grant. This system is currently under orders to comply with the Stage 2 disinfectants and disinfection byproducts rule. This project will address that, those orders, that violation, and will prevent future disinfection byproduct levels above the MCL. The project will upgrade the chemical feed equipment that feeds for pH adjustment and disinfection, and includes a new SCADA system to monitor those chemical feed systems, and also includes new flushing valves and hydrants in the distribution system to flush dead ends, which also helps with addressing disinfection byproducts. That's it. Any questions?
I have just, you partially answered one, the Hume. You're basically taking over a private system that financially wasn't able to continue?
I don't know about the finances. I assume that's part of it, but it's a very small system with a big surface water treatment rule violation issue that they just can't address on their own. So the town is taking that system.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just refreshing my memory. So those systems, EFC really has nothing to do with. The state regulates them through the PSC, just through the rates, correct? The private systems?
Yes.
And now it'll just be, taken over by the town.
Right. So the customers on that system will just become customers of the town system.
Right.
It's not like sometimes the town in another situation could just provide water to that system, and that system would remain on the books. But
Right,
in this
just sell the
case,
water.
that it's going to be dissolved. It won't exist anymore, and those customers will be town customers.
Thank you. Great.
Okay.
Any questions further for David? Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Our final ID, number 6.
ID number 6, a resolution of the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation making certain determinations and authorizing certain actions in connection with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund and authorizing financial assistance payments to certain municipalities to fund eligible clean water projects from funds appropriated for the New York State Water Infrastructure Improvement Act.
Thomas, could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Charlie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Francis. Tim will be presenting.
Thank you. With 4 minutes to go, it's still good morning to the board. Thank you. For 6 projects before you. 1 for short-term financing, both interest-free market rate for just over $11 million. 5 projects for almost $36 million for a total of $48,685,995 worth of authorization. I'll take you through them individually. Town of Highlands is in Orange County along the Hudson River. They experienced flooding from Superstorm Sandy. In excess of 9 feet of Hudson River water rose, and it had a negative impact on their plant, knocking them out for 9 days. They had to relocate aspects of their treatment plant outside of the floodplain and above where Superstorm Sandy's high water elevation was experienced to meet our SMLP elevation standards. They're complete with the project. The financing package with the Superstorm Sandy money from EPA was a 25% grant and a 0 interest loan for the balance, which is what the $1.569 million long-term interest-free financing is before the board. The remaining $1,323,000 was identified as part of ID number 3 as part of the board. So anything over that amount that we had obligated, we still had those communities be able to access the SRF to complete their project, but not at the amounts that all the Sandy dollars have been obligated. This project also included emergency generators, since that was also negatively impacted by the storm. So that's good news, and obviously with the storm, as Joe had indicated, being so current with yesterday's record storm on top of the record storm in Central Park 10 days prior, being cognizant of flooding and flood elevations is going to become that much more important, and the leadership from the governor, previous governor Cuomo, through the Community Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, is going to be more meaningful for this infrastructure over time. Next project, Village of Montour Falls. It's a long-term direct, the hardship community. They are, there's a second project on here with Watkins Glen. It's a joint project, regional wastewater treatment facility. They each had their own treatment plants. Montour Falls was older and was in need of an upgrade. Watkins Glen was subject to DEC enforcement and had to make improvements. They decided to jointly, they shared an outfall into the southern end of Seneca Lake, and they decided to get together and build a regional facility. They've completed that project. It's a brand new treatment plant, state of the art, and Montour Falls' share was $5,662,103. They did qualify for hardship. And there is UV disinfection at this treatment plant to protect Seneca Lake. The next project, Village of Phoenix in Oswego County, experiencing sanitary sewer overflows. There was too much stormwater getting into their sanitary sewer system, so they made improvements to the sanitary sewer system with rehabs and replacement of sanitary sewers. They also installed new sanitary sewers to convey stormwater to the lake so that it would not have a negative impact on the sanitary sewers. They also made improvements to their pump station and some minor improvements to building and a roof at their treatment plant. $2,734,136. Village of Potsdam in St. Lawrence County they have an older plant that was showing the end of its useful life, and they wanted to make improvements to the plant and to 6 pump stations. The plant, headworks, aeration, anaerobic digester, bell filter press, new SCADA system, emergency generator, installed UV disinfection to protect the Racket River, which this discharges into. They also made renovations at 6 pumping stations, and at the treatment plant and at the pump stations they also installed new emergency generators. The plant at the generator at the plant is diesel. The 5 of the 6 generators in the pump stations are also diesel. One was there was a natural gas line nearby. Total project $12,078,502. Going back to the merged project with Montour Falls, the Village of Watkins Glen in Schuyler County, they had the larger share of the treatment plant costs. $13,806,415, long-term interest-free. Both this project and Montour Falls, with the combination, they hit the $20 million project cap for hardship, which is why $1,169,684 of other funding is being part of ID number 1 in the long-term leverage pool. As you know, or if you may not know, Watkins Glen is the site of a NASCAR racetrack that gets a very large population, which has had a negative impact on their wastewater treatment plant. It's disproportionate to the size of the old treatment plant, and when those events were happening, the lake was subjected to heavy flow. So that was another reason for the state-of-the-art facility. Interesting construction aspect that caused some delays was on the site where they were building the new plant. 2 bald eagles decided to take up nesting, and as you know, from a permitting standpoint, the eagles win on that one, and there were some excess delays on that, but all went well, and the eagles are still there when they come back for the season. That's all the long-term loans. The short-term loan is for the Village of West Hampton Beach in Suffolk County. They are installing new sewers and a pump station and they're going to be sending their flow to a treatment plant that Suffolk County owns, located on Gabreski Airport, which is the site of where the Air National Guard is stationed on South Shore, Long Island. Improvement, the West Hampton Beach is also, as a result of this project, paying for upgrades at the Suffolk County plant to allow the plant to take this additional flow. They're replacing 2 membrane bioreactors with larger units to accommodate the additional flow. And we're also pre-financing a DEC water quality improvement grant for $5 million. So it's a total between short-term and short-term interest-free and market rate. It's $11,050,755 in short-term SRF funds for this project. And those are the 6 projects.
Thanks, Tim. Questions, comments?
Good group of projects,
Yes,
We'll take them.
very much so.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am.
Okay, that was unanimous. Unless there's any new business or discussion? Great, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Well, actually, just before we do that, can I just, not necessarily new business, but just, I've been thinking about the comments you made at the top and the intersection, if you will, of new leadership in Governor Hochul and Catherine Garcia, who are both people who've expressed serious interest in this issue before. The triangulation of that, the flooding we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, and then what's going on at the federal level with potentially new dollars flowing to infrastructure projects, which may or may not, touch directly in this as negotiations go. And I'm just wondering if the corporation, and again, I'm happy to participate in these conversations, is thinking proactively about how to, it's one thing to have projects come in that might touch those things, but I wonder if this is a moment where there's an opportunity strategically to reach out and thinking about affirmative ways to triangulate around those things to present and advance the overall mission, because we know, all of those 3 things sit right in the sweet spot of what we work on here. So I'm new to this, but just sort of thinking, listening, and wondering if it's time to, and if you guys have thoughts around how to leg in proactively, I'd love to, hear about it or participate in it if there's something there.
I could speak to what we've been doing at the staff level over the last 7.5 months.
No, I'm sure you are, just, dawns on me it's relevant.
Yeah, no, more than relevant. And I have been aggressively seeking a spot at the table with the new leadership as it's coming in, putting a premium on what we do. And I think we're fortunate, Adam, because we really haven't had someone at the executive chamber that understood this since you've taken your leave of the executive chamber. So what I'm getting is good attention, and I think some of the folks here at the table could talk a little bit about the efforts that we've been doing to position ourselves and be prepared. And this way, when the federal resources come in, we are now getting very close to accessing greater state resources that we can hit the ground running because we're geared up in that way. I was really excited about Catherine's appointment because of her experience in this world, and we are, I think, lockstep from a climate perspective with our partners in state government. At health, certainly at DEC and others, but that from a staff perspective, just making myself annoying and intolerable on these issues seems thus far to be working.
No, I guess I'm saying is also, and that all makes great sense, Joe, and I'm sure you'll be successful at it once they have time to breathe a little bit. I'm just wondering also at the staff corporation level if there's a moment / appetite for, I know you guys are active this way, but to think about ways and places where this kind of assistance might be good, both on the ground for communities being affected right now, but also as a way to sort of demonstrate proof of concept and build out, expand, if you will, ambition by saying, look, here's our moment. if we just had this support in this fund, this community could do this. Again, I don't have specific to fill in the variables there, but it just strikes me there's a really interesting intersection at this moment, and that this entity may have an opportunity here to expand its ambition, do more good, and obviously fulfill the mission. So that's why I'm just raising that as a general thought.
No, and I'll add one quick thing on that. I'm sorry, because I think it's important. If we talked about over the last, EFC 2021, changing the ethos, right? How are we conducting our business? So the premium now that we're putting on engagement to bring projects to fruition, I think we're starting to reap some of those benefits. It's a change. It's a change for our communities, right? We were not as proactive after the finances. But now
there's opportunity to be proactive because you're watching communities flood and you can grab dollars. It's a way of freeing to grab some dollars too. I imagine.
That's absolutely it. I interrupted someone. Vita, was it you? I'm sorry. No, okay. Yeah, no, and we're starting to see it. It's a change. It's a change for our partners, how we're conducting our business. It's a change for the communities, but it's allowing that engagement. And we also are focusing on building capacity, right? Helping them help themselves, and I think we're starting to see some out of there too. But we are chomping at the bit for the new resources to come in, and you guys can feel confident that your team here at EFC is just about ready for it. We're getting there.
Okay.
Let me just jump off of sort of Adam's comments and maybe come up with a particular. So, for years I've been seeking, let's say, alternatives to these diesel generators that we just keep buying with state money, and it has all these climate impacts, of course, ground level pollution. This energy is needed, but it doesn't have to be diesel fueled. And again, just like Adam said, and Joe said, there's all these resources now looking for sort of new resources, looking to solve problems. I think it's a problem that we have these diesel generators that are being used more and more, frankly, for financial reasons, particularly in non-attainment areas. And I think EFC, again, think about it, maybe there's a pot of money that we could use to find alternatives to it. And I can't think of a better place than EFC because this is the heart and soul of these projects. We're funding it with state money. And, I've talked to people, I've talked to you guys about it too. I think this would be in a sense, the venue for searching for answers. And again, the resources right now, there could be resources out there to solve new resources from the feds. I'm thinking mostly, to solve these kinds of problems. This is not a New York problem. This is a huge problem. All this fossil fuel being used for this purpose for machines that are going to be installed for the next 50 years. So I think that would be an interesting one for us to look into.
No, Charlie, your advice was well taken, and Thomas has begun an engagement with NYSERDA to ensure that we are A, well informed, B, maximizing the potential while still delivering on what we have to deliver. So those conversations I know are ongoing, and we're working on some concepts together that we could propose to you all.
No, that sounds great, and I'm obviously happy to be, Thomas, if it's helpful, involved in those conversations, given, some pretty deep relationships that may serve on these issues, because I think Charlie's right, and it's not just diesel generators, it's how to think about, proactively as new resources and new opportunities come in to really amplify the ambition, not just on the bread and butter, but, along the lines towards, the greater climate goals of the state. So certainly happy to echo those sentiments.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Adam, for that discussion.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, there's nothing further. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I can make that motion.
I'll second.
Roger, second Charlie. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Happy Labor Day.
Yep, you too.
Aye.
Happy Labor Day.
That is unanimous. Next board meeting is Thursday, October 14 at 11:30. See you all then, hopefully.
Thank you,
Take care.
Mr. Chair.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.